day. No commercials, no advertising, just pure Islam with Quran every hour, with reminders throughout the day what the Hadith teaches. These programs are the only collection coming to us here in America from. Thanks to all of you for watching, sharing, and spending your time with us on Guide Us TV. And remember, tell everyone, stay guided with Guide Us TV. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. This is a live call-in show. Then you can call us right now if you want to, 1-800-971-4383. And if you want to know what it's all about, it's really whatever you want it to be about, because it's called Talk About It. What? Whatever you want to talk about, all right? Okay. And tonight we have special guests with us. First of all, Dr. Adil, all the way from Tampa, Florida. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah. You might adjust your camera down just a little bit because I don't want to put anything over. Yeah, you look sharp. Yeah. He looks just like a doctor, doesn't he? All right. Speaking of doctors, we do have another doctor for you right now. And this is Dr. Sultan, all the way from St. Louis, Mo. MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum, doctor. How are you?
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. MashaAllah. I'm doing good, feeling good.
MashaAllah.
Ready for another show.
Well, we want.
Talk about.
Yeah, we want you to be ready for it too. MashaAllah. Well, yes, we have a new thing right up here so that everybody could see what's going on. You can still see us, and we changed the size of this little, it's called the lower third right here in front of me, and it says call now 1-800-971-4383, but it's not covering us all up this time. So that's one of the things that I'm real happy about. And yeah, so anyway, alhamdulillah.
Looks good.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Sultan, last night we were talking about some of the effects of the virus, etc. Do you want to pick up where we left off, or do you want to start with a new topic tonight?
Well, I want to start with the new topic we talked about, just to summarize if people remember, that COVID, although it causes the acute infection, but they're just a part of the problem. Many people may get minor infection and think that they are over with, but now that is many of those people is leading to long COVID affecting many parts of the body. Number one, the heart. I will just leave it to my heart doctor, Dr. Adil, to elaborate on that. I'm going to go talk about other organ system. The second thing is affecting is the lungs with difficulty in breathing, shortness of breath, unable to take breath, getting easily going up, down, and developing asthma, those kind of problems. And then another very important part of the organ affecting is the brain. You see, giving rise to depression, like symptoms like depression, anxiety, memory problems, concentration problems, irritability, unable to focus on things. These are the kind of things typically, they're associated with psychological, quote unquote, psychological issues. But one of the big thing in coming up is that many times a lot of these chronic brain symptoms, as I just mentioned, depression, anxiety, memory, concentration, all the other stuff, they are physical in nature, not psychological in nature. And the most beautiful example of changing this paradigm that mental symptomatology is called the physical causes is this COVID-19, which has brought up so many of these neurological symptoms, along with peripheral neuropathy, things like tingling sensation, loss of sensation in various nerves, and so on and so forth. Another important part it is affecting is the chronic fatigue, like a chronic fatigue syndrome. Another area of effect is muscle and joint pains, like symptom like fibromyalgia, muscle ache, joint pains, muscle spasms, muscle cramping, low back pain, tightness in neck and shoulder muscles, and many other symptoms. So this is, if you had COVID infection, and after that you develop these symptoms, which can be, any time after that, a few weeks to a few months later, do not ignore them. Contact your physician, because it's not necessarily that, although we're talking about COVID, but it may not necessarily be from COVID. It could be some other physical cause. So, or you just don't attribute it to COVID. Oh yeah, I got COVID. So I heard about these kind of problems are caused by COVID. So I think I have. No, there are so many other things cause the problems too. A problem too. So therefore, go to your physician, have him checked out, discuss with him that what are the options, and many times you may be able to find other physical causes for that your physician can fix. So, so this is what COVID is doing to us, not just acute illness and sickness and hospitalization and death, but this is the long COVID problem that we are having.
All right, mashallah. Well, folks, you can call in right now anytime you'd like to, because this is called Talk About It, and we'd like for you to talk about it with us. The phone number is 1-800-971-4383, and you can call in. It's toll-free here in the United States. I don't even know if you can call an 800 number from other parts of the world, but I think you can from Canada. So give it a try, call us up, and let's, of course, talk about it. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Anyway, so let's go now to Dr. Ado. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Ado.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah.
So I'm going to pick up where Dr. Sultan kind of covered a lot. So I'm going to give, about the heart involvement with COVID. About 30%, it's not uncommon. It's very, very common. People come in presenting with pictures similar to the heart attack because of these blood clots, occluding the heart arteries. And, but it varies because, that's why we treated with blood thinners and so on and so forth. But then when they go into the cath lab and then they go in and find out about the coronary artery, there was no blockages. So these are small blood clots that come and occlude the artery, cause the damage. And, it for all intents and purposes, on the EKG looks like a heart attack. And then the blood evidence, it's called the enzymes, troponin, is elevated. They're also on the echocardiogram, they may find that the heart muscle is weakened. And then you could have something called myocarditis, where it's actually inflammation of the heart muscle itself. That could lead to further long-term sequelae of arrhythmias, heart rhythm problems. Most common is atrial fibrillation, which comes from the upper chamber, and that itself can cause blood clots, can cause people to, have strokes and devastating events, and also can have arrhythmia coming from the lower chamber of the heart called ventricular arrhythmia or ventricular tachycardia. And it becomes serious when you have weakened heart muscle and people have presented with symptoms like congestive heart failure with fluid buildup, short of breath, fluid in the lung, legs swollen, and they can have a tough time sleeping at night, laying flat on bed. They come up, wake up shortly after going to sleep with gasping for air. and that's a pretty significant involvement of the heart muscle. You may also have kidney failure from small blood clots that goes into the kidney and can cause damage to it as well. And we know about the psychological and mental problems with depression and anxiety, maybe sometimes unfortunate suicide, ideation and isolation, and sense of helplessness. And unfortunately, these symptoms are more exaggerated with financial hardships and all non-medical factors that's related to COVID that's affecting the health in an adverse way. But I believe, again and again, because now we're going into a lot of new variants of coronavirus, yes, it's so good to get the vaccine now, but really have to have a long-term strategy of building the immune system naturally and keep it as strong, regardless of all the daily stresses that bombard us and bombard our system. And the best way to respond to it by positivity, you have a realistic approach in terms of heading the problems head on with solutions, and improve psychological well-being by connecting to a creator, by increasing the prayer, by doing good deeds and volunteering, and then get connected with family and friends for social well-being, and to kind of help to get people off thinking of being alone and being just kind of in this vicious cycle of negative feelings. And that's what I tell most of the people. Now like what the same thing we're doing. We're so far apart physically, but we're connected, through Zoom and so on. So technology can help to lessen the effect of loneliness, as well as just being helpless, being alone, and so on. So we want to encourage people: you're not alone. We're here to help. You can call, and we always give the tips and the advice on how to conquer coronavirus and all the other negative related effects on your health, and just to be strong enough and resilient enough to hang in there and overcome the hump. And inshallah, with the will, God willing, which is being more used now in the media. Everybody's saying God willing, which is a good thing. Inshallah, that's the Arabic word. That Allah will turn after each hardship, there will be followed with ease. So so that's the positive message that we're, yes, these are reportable things, but this is how we can counter it and stay on top of it to prevent reinfection, for instance, because now there's coming reports about reinfection, even people who got vaccinated. So
whoa, wait a minute, whoa, let's hold up here. You're saying that people that got vaccinated got reinfected. That means that they were infected before, right?
Yes, and that's a very important thing for people to understand, like nursing home, residents and so on, because of their weak immune system. They could be vulnerable to have repeated infection unless and until they, unfortunately, some of them are on immunosuppressive therapy, whether it's steroids or cancer therapy that makes the immune system weaken. And that could be, part of it, but also malnutrition, poor nutrition, could be the major part of it. So all the things that we've been talking about, because people say, okay, I got vaccinated, I'm not going to wear a mask, I'm not going to do the social distancing, take any precautions, I'm not going to get infected. This is all wrong. You will have better chance of having, more immune response system that give you some protection, but it's not 100% of bulletproof. And unless and until you take care of the immune system by good nutrition, get rid of bad habits, and the total wellness, like we discussed, then the body could get be vulnerable to have repeated infection. So this is a very good long-term strategy. you take care of now the acute problem and so on. Everybody going with the vaccine, which is good, but we got to look, beyond that, and that's what I'm giving people heads up, because these things can come and go, or somebody can have quote unquote, chemical evidence of recovery by positive antibodies and immune system kind of response build, but we don't know how long it's going to last, and we don't know about the new variants response and so on. So keep your eyes always on the strengthening the immune system and proper nutrition to do that.
Yeah, yesterday we also covered, because now the new vaccine is, Johnson & Johnson vaccine is coming. So the question is, when you got three options, what do you do? Well, we talked about yesterday, but I don't repeat. For heaven's sake, don't lean for one vaccine or the other. Whatever is available to you, go and get it. But if you can get Johnson & Johnson, it is different than the other two vaccines, Moderna and Pfizer, in the sense that, number one, you need only one shot, okay? And number two, its immunity starts very quickly, within 2 weeks. In the other one, Moderna and Pfizer, you got to have the second shot and wait another 2 weeks. In other words, your immunity starts in 6 weeks as compared with 2 weeks. And there's also some very interesting data about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and that is that those people who got the vaccine, 100% of them were neither hospitalized nor they had death. So they're 100% protection from death and 100% protection from hospitalization, which I think is a remarkable thing to do. If you're lucky, go and get Johnson & Johnson. If you're not that lucky, just get any vaccine that is available to you.
Okay, so now we're saying that the vaccine from Johnson & Johnson is better than the other two, or the other three, or whatever?
Well, it is different ways of looking at it. If you look at it, overall protection is 71%. If you look in the United States, is 85%. But if you look at Pfizer, 95, Moderna, 94%. But I'm talking about the fact that 100% of people who got Johnson & Johnson vaccine, nobody died and nobody was hospitalized. So that is an advantage over other vaccines. Somebody calling.
Yes. All right. Let's take that call now. We have a caller on here. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello. Live show SH Yusuf. You have a caller.
Okay. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. You have
well, I called to talk about it.
All right. That's great.
My stepson was telling me that the governor of Texas has released all the restrictions and everybody should go back to work now. I was wondering if y'all heard anything about that, if it's true or what's going on.
I saw the new clip on that.
You saw about this already, Doctor?
Yes, I saw a clip, a brief one about the Texas kind of rushing and to getting back to work and norms and so on, and they really did not say much about reinforcing the masks or social distancing and all that, and did not ensure the fact about isolation and symptoms and following CDC's guidelines. That's just if we learned anything over the past year, if people don't pay attention and follow and have discipline in following the instructions, they're going to be super spreaders events, and after each party and after each gathering, after each congregation, if people don't take the right precautions. So they said maybe a little bit premature. I think gradual return with strict observance and discipline in following these restrictions, maybe till the end of the year at least. That's even if everybody got vaccinated that we know of, which probably expected to be around July or August. We still don't know what is what with the new variants, what's what with the the immunity, how long it's going to last, even with the current vaccines. So we need to be on the guard and not let our guard go while we're trying to get back to normal life.
All right. Okay. Sister, you want to say anything else?
Nope, that's it. I'll hang up so somebody else can call in.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. All right. MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
You're a former Texan, so that's
oh,
that's
well,
relevant.
I still have relatives. My sisters, I have two of my sisters still live in Houston. My nephew and his family, they're out in Pearland, south of Houston. Then, of course, my son lives in Austin with his family. He's visiting with us right now, but subhanallah, yeah, we have a lot invested emotionally in the state of Texas. We got another caller. Let's take this caller right now. Assalamu alaikum. All right, let me take that call. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Sheikh. It's Dr. Sister Emily.
MashaAllah, Sister Emily. MashaAllah.
I'm so sorry I didn't get onto the call tonight. I'm just calling real quick. I'm not feeling very good. I was wondering, there's a lot of new neuropsychiatric stuff that is coming up with this pandemic, of course, and then we're going to have the mental illness pandemic for years after this, decades probably. But I was wondering if it's okay with the other doctors if we can talk about some of that a little bit next week, and we can have maybe.
Well, let's bring it up. Let's talk about it right now. If you don't mind, Sister.
There's a lot.
Yeah. Hold on.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, but I just want to touch on something. I saw this on the internet. Let me put it up so everybody can take a look at it. It says rehabilitation after COVID-19. But then it goes on to say, and this is coming from the health organization here, it said, for some patients that had the COVID-19, the symptoms of the disease could last long after the infection is over, and this long haulers, they're calling it long haulers, that have known as post-COVID syndrome might need rehabilitation to return to daily activities or work. And to help the patients, the Mayo Clinic, that's where this is coming from, launched the COVID Activity Rehabilitation Program, and they call it CARP. Sorry. Whoops. No, that was not intended. I misread. CARP, not CRAP. Sorry. So sorry. Not really.
But with the psychiatric issues, it's, the brain is getting affected, so it's not just.
Hey, that's my excuse. That's my excuse. My brain is affected.
No. I'm not saying you had COVID. I'm just saying that when it comes to talking about the psychiatric implications, like the psychiatric effects of COVID, it's not just the psyche itself. It's not just the emotions. It's the structure of the brain that's getting changed. And it's not even just the people that have COVID. It's those that have been isolated now for over a year. And it's going to be this very massive, after this is all over, or, after we adapt to this, it's going to be, they're already showing going to be a massive plague of mental illness and people seeking psychiatric assistance. And that's just something that's on the horizon that I've been reading a lot of articles about.
Well, let me ask you
um,
this question, sister. Now, you said you've been reading a lot about that.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this online thing about it was something online about Texas reopening everything? Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
You heard about that?
I would not. And I live in a state where Iowa, where where we're basically all on our own because the governor isn't doing a lot, but we're at least getting whatever we can. But I think it's very irresponsible, but it's not my place.
Well, I think everybody. Now, hold on a second. I'm going to take an exception to that because I think it's everybody's place to speak out. That's why we have a program called Talk About It. Yeah, maybe it's not for us to say start a riot or seize the Capitol or something like that. But I do think that it's proper for us to speak up, speak out, but from an intelligent point of view. Now, you said you've been reading, you've been studying, you've been is that called internist? What do you call that?
I'm doing my own study. It's the COVID studying outside of my licensure studying.
All of us are interested in the COVID story right now. I mean, who isn't? Yeah.
But like in the medical journals and stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as Texas goes, as far as the new variants, we don't even know if I mean, I'm sure that there are new ones being developed all the time. I mean, the virus mutates. That's just the reason. I mean, that's the nature of viruses. Like, that's the flu virus. That's why it's only, we have to get a different one every year. We have to get a new vaccine every year because the flu virus mutates. And so the coronavirus isn't just is just a cold virus, but it's like, okay, part of a class of viruses called the coronaviruses, but the severity of it is, and my aphasia is coming in here. The transmissibility of it and the small amount that you have to get to be infected is so extremely high that it's extremely contagious and it destroys the entire body. I am seeing it's like I haven't even seen a single portion of the body that has not been reported to have some sort of effect on it.
Okay.
And that scares me.
Well, I think that's.
But see, I'm looking at this from. I'm not actually treating patients. I am looking at this from a purely, not even an academic standpoint, because I'm not in the. I'm not reviewing the research itself. It's not even peer reviewed because it's so, it's coming out as on a daily basis. But so let me just tell you an example. And I don't know if the other doctors can hear me.
Yeah, everybody can hear you. You're talking to millions of people all around the world.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
A few weeks ago, I read an article in a journal about they've done some post-mortem, autopsies of these COVID victims that had strokes and died of COVID, and they thought they were just blood clot, strokes and because of the cytokine storm. And this is just getting really technical and medical, but either way, that they had a stroke and died from that. Well, they looked at these clots, and they were not regular cells. They were not regular blood cells. They were they were somehow, they called them alien cells, but that's not what they are.
Aliens?
Like,
Whoa, we're into aliens now?
But
Whoa!
they called them, but they were actually bone marrow cells, like cells that were not, like, are supposed to be in your bone marrow, like where your bone marrow is made, in the large bones in your, like in your thigh and your hip. And those shouldn't be up there. That's why they can't make it through those tiny vessels. And so that is one of the things that's really interesting to me, and I'm trying to follow that story to see what's going on there.
Alien cells. It's not like a communist cell, is it? You know, I don't just trying to clarify that.
I know what Sister
Dr. Idle, we need you to weigh in on about this thing, about these alien cells. What planet are they coming from? That's what I need to know right away.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Emily.
Yes.
How are you?
Sister Emily, he's talking to you.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Yeah, well,
how are you?
He gave you salam alaikum. Hello.
Oh, alaikum salam.
All right. We got that done. Let's move forward.
That's good. I can relate to everything you said, very nicely. I think some of the autopsy came from the early infected folks in Italy. And it says exactly about the mechanism of death, because there was no way that somebody would know about the mechanism of how, for instance, the insult in the lung would lead to decreased oxygen saturation and people die. And then they found these blood clots everywhere in brain, heart, kidney, lungs. And then the cytokine storm, like you said, that just to release all these, vasoactive materials that lead to damage, and then and there's been reports about part of the proposed mechanisms of therapy like interleukin-6 and others, but it didn't quite pan out. But two things that have actually shown based on these autopsy results, two mechanisms that protect and help. One is the blood thinner therapy to start early on those COVID patients, especially the hospitalized ones. With COVID, with the moderate to severe intensity, not the asymptomatic one. I'm talking about the one who need like oxygen, supplemental oxygen. And the other one is IV dexamethasone, which you already know about, steroids that help decrease the inflammation, in addition to vitamin C and D. And I don't know if you heard us talking about ivermectin to be the therapy. For COVID moving forward.
Ivermectin, that's coming up again. That I like that the story behind the ivermectin. That this is something that's already pre-approved by the FDA for a lot of stuff since the 1980s. So looks like that, and it might be the thing to do, because we discovered it was happening in Brazil, that they were using it already, and in let's see, what was it, in parts of Africa and Australia, and they're having success with that. And that is not a vaccine, that is a cure, right? Or prevention is, what was it, doctor? You said that
prevention and therapy to prevent someone from getting COVID. You can take it, and to treat somebody who, tested positive for COVID, both of them, and with very high success rates and very, very high safety profile, because it's been out for 40 years, although it's initially intended to treat parasites, but these data are being replicated around the globe about ivermectin efficacy.
MashaAllah.
It's very, very, very good news. But at the same, I think maybe for next week it would be a good idea to talk about the effects on the the psyche about being isolated for so long, especially as you get older, or I joked the other night that I'm used to being isolated because I was prepared by my cancer treatment. But the isolation for humans for a long time. Allah created us as communal creatures. We're not supposed to be alone for a long time.
Well, we can talk about that when we get back. We got to take this
touch.
short break right now, guys. So everybody hold tight, and we'll be right back right after this. So stay tuned and stay guided with Guidance TV. We'll be right back. Can you imagine? It's our 10th anniversary. Guidance TV on the air for 10 years already. Wow. And we want to keep going and growing. And how you can do that, join us. Be part of what we are doing with Recite on TV, Bridge to Faith, Simple Reminders with Abu Hafsa, all of these great programs and more coming to you 24 hours a day. No commercials, no advertising, just pure Islam with Quran every hour, with reminders throughout the day what the Hadith teaches. These programs are the only collection coming to us here in America from America, and you can be part of it. Guide US TV. Keep it on. Keep it going. Keep it growing. Stay guided with Guidance TV. And we are back. MashaAllah ta'ala. Yeah, we got something rolling now. It may have started out a little bit slow, but okay. We're into it now. And we've got our doctors on high alert. Yeah, they're not, no, don't get me wrong. I don't mean they're high on alert. That's not a new drug. I'm saying that they are ready to roll. So we'll start with Dr. Adil. MashaAllah, Doctor. What's going on with these politicians telling us, hey, okay, go back to work, or no, shut everything down, or what's going on?
I think we'll just go back to basics, which is following the science, following data, following the doctors and the officials who analyze the data, collect the data, analyze it, and then now with new leadership in CDC and NIH combined, there's definitely much better communication that comes from physicians and scientists that impacted the nationwide education when it comes to COVID and when to go back and so on. And, for everybody to follow the guidelines, how to, go back to, the business, how to reopen, how to go back to school, how to get, back to life. But then you have to have parameters, including testing, including vaccination, including having the proper setup in the place of work and the school to, proper shielding and hygiene and so on. This stuff is serious, and unless and until we get it right, for a year and 500,000 deaths, more than 500,000 deaths, I think we should really have a very serious look on how we do things based on the evidence of science and data, and take all the things that have been proven already to work and be successful, rather than just follow nonsense. That's the message that's getting clearer every day.
Yeah. So my opinion, I think Texas is a good example for a couple of different reasons. So in an ideal world, this would be my ideal world. Okay. So when you have a problem, let's say, for example, we're not going to talk about the COVID right now. We're going to talk about those power outages that happened, a week ago. If the power grid had been updated and all that, and they put the and they got the power grid people, like the specialists on top of that right away, it wouldn't have been as bad. It's kind of a poor analogy. But when it comes to something like public health, politicians shouldn't be standing in the way of science. Let the specialists help inform policy, like control the policy instead of making this a political issue. Masks or no masks, and social distancing or no social distancing, spitting on people. I mean, this is just like, from the very beginning, I have, tongue-in-cheek been saying that it's going to be the survival of the compassionate, the survival of the considerate, because, if you're going to these super spreader events, it's not just you getting exposed, it's your entire family. It's your, if you have a older loved one, or, even someone like me that is immunocompromised and can't get the vaccine yet for some reason. And like, if I get it, my chance of surviving isn't as good as if you get it. So people aren't thinking about, they're only thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about others. And I think that's kind of there's some political connection to that. And I think that politicians in general need to set a better example. They need to be better examples for our children, even, but they need to be like when Biden and Harris went and got their vaccines, or when you see these officials, public officials, getting the vaccine, they're doing that so that they're being a good example, showing you that it's okay, and when you see them wearing masks, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, let's wear our mask. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not.
You're doing fine, but, sister. You're doing just fine, and I'm proud of you for
it's one of the things
bringing up the subject
really,
and following through with this. Thank you.
Sister, I want to make one comment on that. When you said politicians should be example for our children, well, why not the show media people be example for that? That's a wrong thing. The interesting thing came up was that media always talks about that former president always lied, but Biden came, he lies, but he lies less. Okay, so what's the difference?
Yeah. Well, I mean, every politician
that was on CNN, you see. So basically, we should look forward to people who are exemplary in their character, to be role models. Like, for example, in Islam, we should be what our forefathers were. We want them to be example of a prophet and his Sahaba and all those things. We should teach our kids to be, they should be our guidelines, rather than we looking at our current people who, being human, are full of so many faults and errors and so much serious flaws in character. So there's just I'm just trying to bring up a subject that we should straighten our qibla, which direction we are facing in, you see.
When it comes to media, I like how they have the, politics fact checkers, like they check the statements that these politicians are saying, but they also need to have some sort of real health, like physician checking the medical stuff that they're talking about, because a lot of it's not accurate, and or it's old, or they, or it's not something that an anchor should be talking about. If they should have a specialist on that has been dealing with patients, and it I'm not on any of the social media platforms because I felt like it was harmful to my mental health, and it was too easy to fall into these little rabbit holes of, if you didn't know what the science was behind it, you start to question things. And I have family members now that are into the whole, anti-vaccine movement and the whole QAnon thing, which is a total delusional.
Okay, I think we're starting to wander around with the story here, and I'd like to stay focused on this one particular aspect. It's okay, it's fine. But for the interest of getting folks to call in, by the time they would call in, we'd be on another subject or another track here. So let's go back to, should politicians be dictating, and that's what you're talking about, but this is the question for everybody, and I'd like for you guys to call in right now. The number's on the screen right here, 1-800-971-4383. Call in and let's find out what your take is on it. Should politicians give the ultimate yes or no for things that they're not really particularly checked off in? Because at the end of the day, a politician needs votes. He needs people to support what he's saying, and he's got people behind him with money. People are saying, you need to do this or that. And should these people really have the ability to make laws? This is about laws, guys. No. So should they have the ability, or should they have this power over all of us to make a law about something that maybe would really be disastrous? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, there's one food for thought.
Okay, Dr. Sultan, go ahead.
Yeah, one important food for thought. Remember that when inept people become dominant or dominate the apt people, that is a sign that the society is going to be declining. Inept people become in charge of the apt people, you see. So we have always to think that who is apt among us, and we should seek opinion, we should seek guidance, and then decide for ourselves what is right and what's wrong, you see.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I think that whoever is the specialist with that situation, like, let's say, okay, COVID, whoever, get the infectious disease doctors on there and have them, you have to have someone that gives the actual order, right? Like the governor or the president, whoever, but he shouldn't be doing that. He or she shouldn't do that without the approval, and they have to have some sort of like cabinet or something that says that so this is what we're going to say, and this is going to be our, position on it, and we're going to go by the science or, by the experts, what their opinion.
In other words, what you're saying is just not talking heads, but people that are well versed in what they're talking about. I think Dr. Fauci is a good example of somebody that we could trust, I would hope. What is your take on him?
I have a mask that says, "In Fauci, I trust."
Okay.
I have a mask that says that. So.
Dr. Sultan, what do you think about Dr. Fauci? Is he a guy?
I think he's quite respectful person. I had in person listened to one of his presentations, and I was really impressed with his in-depth knowledge of. He's been advisor to 4 presidents, and so he's very much trusted. And the presentation I had I was really impressed with COVID-19 knowledge. So I would pay serious attention to what Dr. Fauci said.
Dr. Adel, do you agree with that? You think?
I think that it cannot be one man show. It's I would say a consensus of specialists, and everybody is given their input. Some of them are infectious disease specialists, like Sister Emily said, but there are also other public health experts that will, all put their, input. And, that's why we have, a panel along with CDC and NIH experts. They all put together to build a consensus about what is the next guidelines that we need to do. We need guidelines and questions: how to handle the variants, how to handle the reinfection rate, how to handle side effects that could have from the viruses, and now the distribution and so on. So I believe that will be a good policy to look comprehensive look or a global look, because that's happening everywhere, and collaboration is critical, and it has to come evidence based. So you have to bring me evidence.
It has to be.
You have to be.
Go ahead, sister.
Oh, I was going to say it has to come down to the public health level, because that's where the bottleneck is at right now. That's where it's always going to be. Public health has been chronically underfunded. I worked for the public health in St. Louis, and we were on a shoestring budget. We barely had any money.
I understand. I understand about that, but I want to try to stay focused on the subject here. Of again, we're wandering around in that thing, and I would like for us to stay focused so folks can call in and be on the same page with us. And what I'm saying now is that when we're talking about the politicians coming up with the stuff that they think is reality, but maybe some of it is fake news. And that is something that I think that our doctors are much more in tune with. Any medical doctor in the United States would be a lot more knowledgeable in what should be done or shouldn't be done. Just as a general, as a practitioner of medicine, he should know, or she should have an idea right away. Yes, let's go down that road, or no, let's don't go down that road. Whereas the politicians, it seems to me, now it's just my opinion, but it seems to me that they're more worried about what voters are saying than they're worried about what the doctors are saying. That's what I'm saying. Let's stay away from the fake stuff.
Yeah.
We had enough of that in the last administration to last for a lifetime.
Yeah. So the difference between, I think, the science-oriented people and physicians and scientists, we people. We work together. We don't work alone. We try to, share all of the data that we can. Make sure that everybody's getting fed up. We don't want to have anyone behind, because these lives matter. And then politicians, on the other hand, are me people. It's all about me, myself, and I. How I look, and they do have their constituents, but they're always looking to the next election, I feel like. And that might just be my opinion, but I know that scientists...
Well, actually, that's exactly what we want. We want your opinion. That's why we're asking people to call in.
Yeah.
And you did that. You did good. All right.
Well,
Sister is saying about when we were talking about this whole subject, that as human beings, we're in all of this together. And together, science and people working together for this could be a good thing, provided we put...
And that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, if we put the real people at the head of the line to talk about what this is really what the impacts are and why we should do what we're doing. I think that's where we're at with that. Dr. Adil, if you could mention something about that in the last couple minutes.
Yeah, everyone should follow their job. The job of politicians to lawmakers, legislature, serve their constituents and to serve the nation as a whole by collaborating with other folks. And this should be regardless of which side of the aisle they're in. There should be really a consensus of serving the country. This is over personal or political aspirations. And now we know that when the public get the wrong message, when we have misplaced jobs, in the message about all the things that's related to COVID and the pandemic should come from physicians, scientists, public health experts, and should not come, from politicians because they're not trained in the medical field. But they could work in synchrony to, have more laws that will protect people, that will protect the public, that will help, give people relief. That is how everybody should work within their area of specialty, but also have a interconnection with the other teams, if you would, that serve the people, that serve the country, in terms of putting it all together. But no one should take the roles of the other person. Politicians stay with the lawmaking and legislature, and the doctors and scientists and public health specialists should be the one who are making the guidelines and the advice on how to handle COVID and how to protect the health of fellow Americans.
Yes, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I think that is a good summary of what we've been talking about. Dr. Sultan, if you have any last words, we'd like to hear from you right now.
Yeah, you were talking about the politicians caring for the votes. Yes, they do care, but politicians care for two things. Number one, the vote, and number two, the money. Where the money comes, where the votes come, that's where they go, regardless of the fact that what they honestly feel one way or the other. So okay. That's the policy.
Time to wrap it up. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to cut you off, but we got another show right behind us, so I want to encourage everybody to stay tuned, stay guided with Guidus TV. And we'll be back with the doctors next week on Monday and Tuesday nights. And hopefully our sister Emily will call in again and share with us more of her feelings and opinions about this, because it's very much needed and appreciated. Okay, so guys, stay tuned and stay guided with Guidus TV. I like the way you guys do that. All right.
Well trained.
Can you imagine? It's our 10th anniversary. Guidus TV on the air for 10 years already. Wow. And we want to keep going and growing. And how you can do that? Join us. Be part of what we are doing with Recite on TV, Bridge to Faith, Simple Reminders with Abu Hafsa, all of these great programs and more coming to you 24 hours a day. No commercials, no advertising, just pure Islam.